afternoon, and thanks for joining us. Two men face drug trafficking charges after an investigation by Prince Albert Police. The investigation began in August. Then on Thursday, a search warrant was executed in the 1100 block of 18th Street West. Two men were inside. One produced bear spray, and in the process of being arrested, bear spray was discharged in the room. Officers found and seized 80 grams of suspected crack cocaine, bear spray, multiple cell phones, digital scales, and cash. 20-year-old Isaac Meiker and 39-year-old Ruick Peter both appeared in provincial court today on charges including possession for the purpose of trafficking. A former Saskatoon police officer challenging his dismissal is testifying today about a friendship with a gang associate. Sergeant Robbie Taylor was fired from the Saskatoon Police Service in March over his friendship with a person associated with the Hells Angels. The associate cannot be named due to a publication ban. At a hearing appealing the firing, Taylor said he wanted to be a good influence and help the associate have a better life. Taylor testified the associate has not committed a crime since 2008. He said he'd never tried to hide the relationship and only found out there was an issue with it when he got suspended. Earlier in the hearing, Police Chief Cam McBride said Taylor knew or should have known that the friendship was inappropriate and said it compromised the public perception of the police service. Proceedings resumed earlier today after the hearing officer dismissed an abuse of process application filed by Taylor's lawyers. A third person has been charged in a shooting that injured an 11-year-old girl in Regina last month. Emergency crews were called to a home in Regina in the early hours of August 11th. Police discovered the girl had been shot in her own home. Regina police now have charged a 41-year-old man with multiple charges, including attempted murder and reckless discharge of a firearm. Earlier this week, two other men aged 18 and 20 were charged in the shooting. In Saskatoon, two boys are facing serious charges after a report of a man being threatened with a gun. The man told police he was walking on Rushholme Road near Avenue Q North yesterday, and when he was confronted by a group of youth who threatened him with a gun. The man was able to get away and call for help. Police found the suspects nearby with a fake gun. Two boys aged 12 and 13 are facing charges of uttering death threats and attempted robbery with a firearm. The 13-year-old boy is also facing charges related to having a weapon and concealing it. Jeff, not much going on the CFL field, so what are you going to be doing and what kind of weather are we getting this weekend?
Well, I can tell you we are dealing with some great if you want to be playing some football on your own, playing catch or getting outdoors at all, things are looking very promising, John. We've got ourselves warm temperatures. It's the last weekend of summer, and looks like we have summer-like temperatures in many locations, and we'll talk more about the details later on.
As Saskatoon gets more supports to address homelessness and addictions, some residents are wondering if services are too concentrated on Saskatoon's west side. Some residents during Monday's information session about an upcoming permanent homeless shelter near the Harry Bailey Aquatic Centre wondered about Saskatoon's capacity to support the growing homeless population, while others wondered why all services are concentrated on the west side when homeless people are in nearly every neighborhood of Saskatoon.
I think that we need more shelters within the city. I do believe we need services on the east side, but you can see the hotspot is definitely on the west side.
They could operate on 8th Street. They could operate another retail location. They chose not to. We have not dictated that for any of those services.
Once the new 60-bed shelter opens on the 31st Street next fall, the province plans to shut down the temporary shelter downtown. The federal government was in Saskatoon today announcing its plans to increase the supply of affordable housing in Canada and a new agency called Canada Build Homes. The feds want to get homes built faster. Secretary for State for Rural Development Buckley Belanger announced a top-up of $1.5 billion in loans to the Affordable Housing Fund. The Rapid Housing Substream will pull $385 million in funding from future years. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation will deliver the funding.
We want to build thousands of homes, and that target is really ambitious. And we can achieve it faster, quicker, better if we have more private sector engagement, we have more provincial partners, territorial partners, and more like, for example, the community organizations that would utilize this program. The more partners we have, the faster we can build and the more we can build.
The federal government says the $1.5 billion top-up will support the creation of over 5,000 new units. After a recent trade mission to South Korea and Japan, Saskatchewan Minister of Trade and Export Development Warren Kading is headed back to Asia. This time, Kading will be heading to Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand to bolster trade relationships. He'll participate in a business forum on Asian-Canadian trade in Malaysia's capital, speaking on agriculture and food security. Saskatchewan's exports to these three countries are worth a total of more than $1.2 billion. Support workers at Saskatchewan healthcare facilities say it's unfair that some senior SHA executives have received significant pay increases while workers have gone 3 years without a raise. The Canadian Union of Public Employees, which represents 14,000 members in healthcare, held a rally outside Wascana Rehabilitation Centre. Their last contract expired in 2023. CUPE says that since then, some senior SHA executives have received raises totaling 10 to 14%.
We are here today to expose the hypocrisy of the provincial government and the Saskatchewan Health Authority. It's been 3.5 years since these healthcare workers have received a raise. Meanwhile, the provincial government has allowed senior executives from the Health Authority to laugh all the way to the bank as workers are forced to use the food bank.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority says it will issue a response today. We'll have more on that at 6. When we come back, Jasmine Pelche finds out about a commemorative art piece. Local artist Cheryl Ring explains the fundraiser for the Rose Garden Hospice. The Legacy Quilt Project is a commemorative art piece and fundraiser for the Rose Garden Hospice. Jasmine Pelche finds out more.
We're learning more about the Rose Garden Legacy Project. Could you explain what that project is and how it works?
Sure. So the Legacy Project, this is called the Legacy Quilt Square Project. It's done by a local artist, Cheryl Ring, who's with us here. And it gives people an opportunity to create a personalized quilt square that they can have their loved one's name on, whether in memory of or in honor of. And it gives us an opportunity at the hospice to recognize donors within a kind of a range of donorship that we haven't had historically. And they get to come here and actually see their personalized piece. They get to run their hands across it and come back and visit us and remember their loved ones who have come through the hospice.
All the donors for this project are family members?
No, it can be anybody. You don't have to have come through the hospice at all. We have a few on here actually that people didn't pass here. They didn't even pass in this country, some of them, but people wanted a way to remember someone that they'd lost and also help the hospice out through a donation, which is huge for us.
Cheryl, why is this project important to the community?
This project is important because it is a link and an anchor for the families of the loved ones who have passed here, whether they have passed here or, as Ian mentioned, in other countries. It is an anchor for those loved ones to come back, remember their loved ones specifically, and remember the time that they spent here as a family with the organization. It represents a connection. It represents community, the community of the hospice organization, the Rose Garden Hospice. But it also represents something I feel very significant to the larger community. This is a very, very important organization in Prince Albert, and it represents a partnership between myself and the hospice. It is very unique and special and offers the hospice an ongoing way to raise funds for their continued operation.
How did you get involved in this project?
I feel so honored to have been asked to participate. A board member and friend, Barb Rhoda, approached me with a concept and idea. We talked about it, And then she handed it over to me to lend my creative license. And this is what we came up with. I can't tell you how emotional I get when I talk about this project and how proud I am to be a part of this organization.
What is the process of making one of these squares? Like, what do you use and how do you design it?
So these tiles, each individual tile represents one person who has passed in the Rose Garden Hospice, and they are made of clay. We have approximately 12 designs that are formatted for the family or the resident to design their own personal tile. So they are in memory of or in honor of the person's name. Now, they can select secondary and primary elements. They can mix and match colors. And as you can see, we have a variety of designs and colors, which is that quilt of life that comes together to be that eclectic mix of what we call our life's journey.
Right, and this goes for both of you. Is there anything important that we haven't spoken about yet that we should probably be getting across?
People can see all of these pieces in more detail on our website, rosegardenhospice.ca. If you click on the fundraising tab, there's a project called the Legacy Project, and this is the quilt aspect of that. And you can see in detail all of the samples that we have and how you can mix and match them. And then if you would like to get one, if you're interested, you can reach out to me, 306-764-9620, or you can click on a link on that page as well and email me directly and get more information about it. Yeah.
Well, thank you both. And Cheryl, you've done a fantastic job putting this together.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you to the hospice.
When we come back, Jeff has your weekend weather forecast. And later, is it harmless fun or is there a dark side of fantasy football? All right, Jeff, and I know, again, we're not going to be watching any Rider football, but speaking of in the pocket, those temperatures are looking like they're in the pocket this weekend.
Nice work, my friend. Yes, yes, they're in the pocket if that were saying that they're going to be nicely put away and are going to be comforting to know that you've got something going on. But ultimately what we've got is a warm weekend in store, sunshine, pleasant conditions. So if you want to be outside throwing the pigskin around or doing some outdoor activities, I know harvest is still ongoing in many locations. This is quite the weekend for it. So let's take a look across Western Canada. In Saskatchewan, not a lot of active weather again. A little more in terms of active weather out in BC. We're anticipating more in the way of the North Coast areas, and some of these northern mountain areas may get some alpine snow this weekend. But other parts of British Columbia might see some rain and maybe a bit of a cool down. But for Alberta and Saskatchewan, for the most part, things are looking pretty good. Some northern areas a bit cooler. And then finally, I know we've been talking about it all week, but this big low down in the States is finally starting to migrate into Canada. Really not impacting Saskatchewan too much, but a different story in Manitoba and parts of Ontario. So we'll still keep an eye on that system. So we'll take a look at our future cast here. And we've got ourselves these pressure lines getting relatively close together, you know, but still not tight. So that means the winds will not be particularly strong. And as you can see, there's not a lot of splashes of radar activity, even though, you know, this is the computer modeling putting it together. But really not much active weather for the prairie provinces, or at least Alberta and Saskatchewan. A different story for Manitoba. So overnight tonight, we're dealing with clearing skies and maybe some fog patches showing up in the Lakeland region. But temperatures getting into the single digits in many locations. 7 for Spiritwood and the Battlefords, 8 degrees. The overnight temperature, Candle Lake and Rostern. 9 for Birch Hills and Nipawin, 10 the overnight number for Melfort. And then tomorrow, look at all these areas with big time sunshine. North Battleford dealing with a little bit, of the Battleford's dealing with a bit more in the way of cloud. But look at that temperature, 26 degrees. That's way above seasonal. And temperatures in and around that 24 or 25 degree mark for Spiritwood, Candle Lake, Birch Hills, Rostern, Nipawin, and Melfort. Nipawin just a few wisps be clouds expected, but it's still a high of 25 degrees. For the Prince Albert region, look at this. 8 degrees overnight, partly cloudy skies, so maybe a bit nippy overnight. Light and variable winds. And then as we roll into Saturday, well, that wind does not pick up, but boy, the temperature sure zooms up. We've got ourselves 24 degrees with sunshine, so a very pleasant Saturday in store. So as I mentioned earlier on, as John and I were talking about, a great opportunity to head outdoors. And as we take a look at the 7-day forecast, still some pretty nice outdoor temperatures, if we can call them that, and I just did. Mainly sunny skies on Sunday, 27 degrees. That's about 10 degrees above seasonal. Fall arrives officially at 12:19 on Monday afternoon. Mainly cloudy conditions, a high of 21, 24 on Tuesday with mainly sunny skies, mainly cloudy skies on Wednesday, 26. On Thursday, mainly sunny skies. And 19, yeah, it's cooler than the day before, but that's still a slightly above seasonal temperature there. And Friday, 1 week from today, we're looking at 21 degrees and mainly cloudy skies. So all in all, a very pleasant 7-day forecast for Prince Albert and the Lakeland region.
And I saw you had the little falling leaves icon there on the screen. And I'm wondering, is it, I haven't really taken stock. Have there been a lot of falling leaves out there in Prince Albert and area? Well,
I know there's a lot of coniferous forests out there that aren't going to be shedding anything. But yes, I suspect people are already picking up leaves in the area.
There you go. Well, you know who's going to have a lot more time to pick up leaves on the weekend is Canadian curling superstar Brad Gushue. He's announced he will be retiring from competitive curling.
I still love the game. It's all the other stuff that, you know, over time it starts to go, you know, tip in the other direction.
Gushue announced on social media he will be stepping away after this season. That means he's got one more year to add to his resume that includes 6 Brier championships, a gold medal, and a bronze at the Olympics. Gushue says he is stepping away to spend more time with his family, but he'll always stay connected to the game. And football season is well underway, and so is another game drawing millions of players across the country, fantasy football. But while many see it as harmless fun, experts say there can be a darker side. Lauren Stallone has the story.
The month of September might mark the end of summer, but it also means the start of fantasy football season.
Sports is my way to escape and kind of break away, especially with the pressures from school.
For Western University student Travis Mackay, fantasy football has allowed him to stay connected to the sports world.
I am an avid sports fan. Throughout my entire life, I grew up playing sports, so it's been a key part about who I am.
He says participating in the game is a great way to stay in touch with friends.
Whether you're kind of making fun of them for how bad your team is or really being excited about how the team you follow is doing well, plus your fantasy team's going well, so it's always a good time.
And while for Mackay, fantasy football is nothing more than friendly competition, mental health experts say the impact on an individual can be far from casual.
Typically, when they're spending more time than they should gambling, their mood is dropping, so they might be feeling some more depression or some more anxiety.
Health professionals say young people are especially vulnerable to addiction.
Their brains are still developing up until around the age of 26.
But for Travis, he reminds himself the goal is simple, to have fun.
We all know what everyone's limitations are, and we don't want to really push those kind of boundaries. And I know people can and have experienced stuff where they've kind of gone past that limit, and that's where things kind of get wary.
Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Do you have a community event you would like to promote? Or maybe you'd like to draw attention to your organization. Let your local CTV station help you spread the word. Contact us at 306-922-6020 or email panews@ctv.ca. You can appear on CTV Prince Albert's News at 5 and get your message to our viewers.
One man's health journey inspired him to lead the donation of an expensive piece of equipment to the healthcare system that saved him. Pauline Chan explains how his gift is changing outcomes for future patients.
Hey, Ed. Good to see you.
A year ago, Ed O'Brien was exploring his options to be treated for benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, a common non-cancerous condition in which the prostate enlarges and starts blocking the flow of urine. It can cause patients to have to wake frequently to go to the bathroom and can even lead to kidney or bladder infections.
Ed, in an ideal world, I'd be doing a surgery with the morcelator next week for you. And I said, okay, well, let's do that. And he goes, well, we don't have a morcelator.
Dr. Michael Kogan says traditional treatment usually involves creating a path through the blockage.
It's almost like coring an apple. You make a hole down the middle, but the problem is all that tissue can grow back and block the path.
O'Brien had to have surgery that left him with an 8-inch scar and 3 months of recuperation.
The worst part of the whole thing was having the catheter for so long. I had a catheter for almost 10 weeks, and there's nothing worse.
It inspired him to think of how to give back to the hospital that has taken care of him and his family for so many years. It was his donation that led to the purchase of a $250,000 morcelator, with the Paul B. Hellawell Foundation matching the community's dollars. Instead of boring through the prostate, a laser is used to remove the blockage and push the tissue into the bladder. The morcelator breaks up that chunk of tissue so it can easily be removed.
Because you get rid of all of the tissue, the chance of ever needing another procedure done is almost zero, or it's very low. With this procedure, people will either be day surgery or sometimes an overnight stay in hospital, and the catheter comes out the next day. So it's really a game changer.
Why don't more hospitals have this device?
It's a combination of cost. You need to be able to purchase an expensive device, and there's also a training side to this as well.
Ed says he's just glad that no other patients with BPH will have to go through unnecessary hardship.
I feel great about it. I really do.
Ed O'Brien hasn't yet seen the device that he helped to purchase, but it's already been in use at Mackenzie Richmond Hill since April, helping dozens of new patients. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Brought to you by Saskatchewan Union of Nurses. Thank you to Saskatchewan's 11,000 registered nurses.
All right, Jeff, F1 is back, and I know it's probably not an F1 car, but an Italian racer has once again broken a world record. He's the fastest driver on top of a boat. Fabio Barone reached 164 kilometers per hour as he soared across the flight deck of the Navy vessel. It smashed the previous record of 152 kilometers per hour set just last year. And Jeff, what do you think? Are you testing that with your car?
Yeah, I'll squawk those tires.
If it ain't my car, I'll do anything.